Hi, and welcome to Girl vs. Motorcycle. Let me show you what we're gonna do today. See that? For those of you at home having V-Rods, you know that once you turn on the ignition, that headlight's supposed to turn on. Also, if you heard that horrible noise, that was also the sound of the light trying to turn on. Turns out, if anybody saw my Instagram last week, I have some corroded connections in my HID light between the harness and the ballasts. I'll post the pictures again right here. There you go. See that right there. So I'm gonna clean them up. I'm gonna show you some ways that we can clean up some corroded connections. I'm also going to go through actually swapping out this headlight. I like the HID that I have came with the bike. I actually didn't know what it was. I'm like, what's this ballast thing? Whatever. And I loved it though because the light was so much brighter. And now I've had the bike pushing 4 years. And the HIDs are great because, they're brighter. They're very similar to a regular incandescent bulb, but they do require ballast. These are a high intensity light. And you may have seen it or whatever, but like in the last few years, LEDs have come so far, so fast that it's kind of dumb not to have one. So I decided to upgrade, and upgrading to a Hogwarts. The reason being that it is one of 2 lights I found that is a simple plug-and-play swap for the V-Rod muscle. If you hang out on the 1130 forum, the V-Rod forum, you'll know that people have put in other LED lights before, halos and all kinds of fun stuff, but they've also done some modifications to get them in, whether there's like a cowl, changing the whole system, the whole thing, and I'm like, I don't need to do any of that. I need a headlight that works and do an LED, and I'll keep it simple. And it was, relatively inexpensive. So it's the way I want to go. So doing that so simple that I wanted to actually take time just to show you what the corrosion looks like, ways to clean the corrosion. Also, an alternative that I will show you later. Kind of surprised. Guess what? There's another way you can get around this stuff that if you're resourceful, you can do for a lot of things on your bike. So it's going to be a pretty simple day. Just a lot of little tips and tricks. So why don't we get started? Okay, the first thing you want to do before you do anything electrical on your bike is pull the main fuse. It's just a safe measure. You're pulling the main fuse, you're cutting a lot of the power. Not that we're going to be working with stuff plugged in. We're going to unplug anything before we start messing with anything, but it's always a good safety move. Unplug the fuse. Bang. Done. Check that off the list. So you may notice that I don't have the bike on a wheel chock in a straight position. And my reasoning for that is this is where electrical and the headlight connections are. And I find it's actually harder to get to with this bike straight. This bike is very tight with everything in the front, so you want to get more access as possible. Now, over the years, with changing the light bulbs and stuff like that, I've learned that keeping it straight is easier and all this stuff. Everything, when you have this bike, as I'm sure a few of you do, you realize it's easier to do this rather than the other thing. So, it's a learning curve. But to access this side of the bike, it's just easier to keep that wheel turned that way and just access it from this side. The only reason you need to be on the other side is to get the fuse. So there's that. All right, so we're on this side of the bike. Here's the ballast I was talking about. You see mine's a little wrecked too, just from, it's not a lot of places to put it in this bike, so the previous owner stuck it in the air box. He's running this bike, he was running it topless, and I just went with it because, well, I don't have a freaking top for it, so I rolled with it, but it never stuck well in here, and that's where he had it. You know, so I'm definitely gonna try to find all the connections and disconnect that first, which shouldn't be that hard. That's to the actual HID lamp. So there's that. And that out right there. Like I said, it's super tight in here. It's crazy. Oh, there's part one. Now the other part is this main connection. Now this goes from the ballast to the bike's end that would normally plug straight into a bulb, but that's where it takes over. It creates that loop right there. So we'll take that apart and I'll show you where it was all messed up again. See, that's where a lot of the corrosion happens. Happens. Let's see. I'll try to zoom in on that. So corrosion, I mean, typically it involves moisture. Moisture is what causes it. You know, it's also sometimes just things that happen. I think so. Being that the socket end that's on the bike is corroded, we're going to try to clean that up. But like, since we're getting this out of here, let's just take this out. Say bye-bye, ballast. Oh, there's one more thing I won't have to ever worry about again. That's nice. It's also nice about the ballast here, or this actual connection here. So what you want to try to do anytime you work with electrical connections, if we're going to try to do something like clean it, hope that you can disconnect it. Actually, I can disconnect it here from the high beam. I think I will. Don't worry about that. I'm gonna get it. Don't worry about that. But this, my point is what connects. Lucky for us, there's a jumper from the two headlights into the main wiring harness of the bike. So we can actually disconnect it. Now with any of these connections, usually there's a push tab. There's a push tab right here to unplug these things. So you're gonna plug this, unplug it, boom, push tabs. Oh look, found a little bit more corrosion. So something's going on. But we'll try to get this cleaned up. And then see, now we got that, and we're gonna unplug that from the high beam, hopefully. You know. Well, you can do it the other way. You gotta take the headlamp off anyway. But we'll get that unplugged, and once it's unplugged, we'll put it on the bench and see if we can clean this up. So to save you V-Routers a little headache for searching, there you go. This is a 6mm hex that goes here for these nuts. So you just want to disconnect it from here. So we got it mostly unplugged from the other side. But we'll get the headlight off of this blanket. This is also if you're just changing a redder headlight because of how cramped it is in the back. This is the easiest way to change your headlight on zero. There you go. It's totally true. True story. Like I said, I've tried a couple different things at gym. I remember the first time I changed it, I lost my mind because I was trying to cram my hand in there and the light in there. And just dubbed me, not till the second time around that I got, oh, I could just pop this off and do it. Durr. But, you know, learning curve. All right. Don't lose your bolts. Those are important. Metal tray. Bing. See? Told you, metal tray. And then, so you can see, in one piece. And now I should be able to take this one from the high beam, in theory. Yeah, there it goes. Boom. So there's our wiring jumper, and we're going to try to clean it up. Sound good? Cool. Okay, so we're going to attempt to clean these contacts here. See that? Pretty nasty. So there's a couple different options on the internet about cleaning electrical contacts. Now, usually the go-to is to clean, use electrical cleaner, which I do have. I have this stuff right here. In the house, we do electrical work, stuff like that. But the key thing to know about some of these electrical contact cleaners is some of them are not safe for plastics. So read the fine print, which I did with this, and it actually says right on there, may be harmful to some plastics. And the reason I say pay attention to that is because all these housings for these connections are plastic. Something to think about. I know deoxit is really popular and is safe on plastics. So if you have that, that's great. But I'm also of the mindset, see what'll work at home. Try some at home stuff. Baking soda seems to be a big one for corrosion, things like that. But I did come across something that said try white vinegar. And I always keep a big bottle of distilled white vinegar in the house. It's great for cleaning. 50-50 white vinegar to distilled water is great for so many things. But when I changed my coolant a few years ago, that's what you flush your coolant system. Once you drain it, you flush it with that 50-50 a couple times to get any old coolant out if you're going to change your coolant. There's your tip for today. So let's see how this works. Okay, so poured a little vinegar in a cup here, and these are kind of specialty cleaning Q-tips my husband has for some of the detail work he does, and he has a lot of those, so I borrowed them. He might be finding that out for the first time watching this video. Hey honey, I borrowed some of these. We have a tendency to borrow each other's tools a lot for things. So I'm gonna take some, stick it in here and just see how that goes, huh? Now I am just rubbing the plastic right now too, because the other thing is this is a socket connector. Like you can see, oops, sorry. You can see that is a socket, and they pinch the two prongs on the thing. So this might be harder to get into for cleaning. This is where like those spray cleaners, like the deoxits and stuff, may be a better choice. And like I said, I'm just curious to see if this works. You know? And then, like I said, like I'm lucky. See, this harness comes out of the bike. I can detach it to do it. You know how we took out the fuse of the bike before doing any electrical work? I feel like if you have to clean something that is attached to the bike, electrical, and you're going to use any type of moisture like this, you know what I say? Disconnect the battery too. Better safe than sorry. A lot of times you see things, just disconnect the negative. Okay, I've read that before. I go, all right, disconnect the negative. So just cuts the circuitry to the battery, so you're not getting any, power going to it. But I mean, it took a lot of it from the outside. I don't know about the metal. Let's see here. There's another one that's more of a socket base end here. And again, it's close in there, but it seems to be taking a lot of the residual, at least off the plastic and stuff, right? See that? So I'm going to do, this is pretty clean. That was going to the high beam and it wasn't doing anything. Ha ha ha. Oh, here, see that dried out, and you can see there was still some on there. There's that right there. So what we're going to do really quick is hit it with the air hose just to make sure it dries out, see how it looks. Be right back. Okay, so I dried it out a bit, and it looks like it took a lot of the corrosion out from around it. Here, like it was sitting here, you see there's still some here, and it was hard to get in there. So that's a challenge right there. This one does look better than it did, so, but I can also get 2 more of it. You know what I mean? So let's test this theory. I have the plug from the ballast I'm not going to use anymore, but you can see that plug has it on the prongs. So let me see how it does on there. So now it's actually on metal, on the actual connection points, or the contacts, if you will. And I don't know how much you can see in here, but let me see if we can do one of these. Whoop. How much you can see in there, but the prong definitely still has some residue on it. So I don't know if just vinegar is the way to go. Now test the next theory. Baking soda. Let's see how that works. Okay, so I got some baking soda, and they say it bakes over like a drop of water. You know how hard it is to get a drop of water? Jeez. So that's why seems like I have way more than I need. So I'm trying to work out those ratios. But same thing, take Q-tip on there. Let's see. Well, let's test it on the part that we're not going to use anymore, huh? That. I don't know if you have to lob it on there or not, but let's see how baking soda works. Now what's nice is that I'm testing all these theories for you. And then if there are people out there who have done this trick and say, no, you're doing it wrong. Hey, let me know. Then I'll know why it didn't work for me. But what I do see, I don't know if you can make it out on this Q-tip here, but there is some green on this Q-tip. And the green is that corrosion. So we might be getting somewhere. It might be actually working. And again, I'm going to state this as it may be obvious. Water and electricity don't mix. Okay. So if you do something like this and you're cleaning stuff, make sure you let it dry out. I have like a air compressor, air hose, blow some stuff out. I'll blow it with canned air. And if you're still not 100% sure, let it sit for a day or two. Let it dry naturally. Try to get the water away for a minute, or also because that's also what causes corrosion. But any of that moisture, just try to get rid of it. Well, let's see here. Speaking of that, okay, how's it gonna get out? Need a quick rag. Hold on. Good old chop rags. Need a shop rag and Q-tip and see if we can clean out. See if we can get a better look and see how this came out. Oh, it's hot in the garage again. Had a couple of cooler days here, maybe. I am going to just get some of that vinegar and try to clean that out. Hold on. You know what I'm starting to think? This is not the way to go. Only because, you know, getting in these sockets and then trying to dry it out is going to be a pain in the tuchus. You know what I mean? And nobody wants that. I don't know if you can see here. Like, there's still baking soda residue in there. Not sure how you get that out. I mean, I can see the residue from the corrosion too, which is good. Let me try that air hose again. See if I can get that clean. Now, it is cleaner. And I can still see some of it in there. It is cleaner. Okay, so I'm not holding out a lot of confidence for that. So this is, since this is a part I'm gonna toss anyway, so it's a great way to test things. This is the other nose attached to ballast, which probably means the ballast is faulty. The ballast somehow got moisture and it just transferred it all the way down. Ew. So what I am gonna do is try this contact cleaner on that. See if it actually, like how it really works. Mostly because I'm gonna throw this out. Don't care if it harms the plastic. It does say, you know, for heavy deposits, use a heavy wire brush. I'm like, okay, sure. But, of course, trying to get the straw in. Come on, straw. Don't know. Maybe this is not the straw for that. Somehow it got mixed up. All right, that straw's not thin. So So we're just gonna go for it. Even though I prefer to use a straw. If there's a straw, use a straw for something small, but. We'll let that sit for a minute. Always read directions. You know, like it says, open the doors and get well ventilated, and I'm in my garage with the doors closed, so, you know, typical stuff. Ideal fast turning cleaner. Alright. So let's see. What I don't have is a small, heavy duty wire brush. I have a big wire brush, but I don't know if it's gonna get in there. Or a toothbrush. Toothbrush is good, right? But let's, like I said, I'm gonna throw this out, so don't judge me for using this nasty ass brush. Okay, let's try that out real quick. I'd say it was fast drying too, but it does look better. Sorry, it does look better. Huh. I mean, it's starting to really dry out so you can see it, but it's hard, but better. So I might need to get some better contact cleaner, because the at-home remedies aren't working. Yep, there it is. So we'll get some deoxit or something similar, and we'll try it on the other end. Sound good? Good. Okay, so we got some deoxit D5. This is actually a cleaner and a maintainer, so it's supposed to protect it. So just a really quick overview of the directions for this, and all these products work a little differently, so check the directions, because one may be one thing, one may not. This one is spray it on the metal contacts, work them a bit so it breaks up the corrosion, then spray them again, and then, hold on, I forgot the second part. Go figure. Yeah, reapply in one short burst, wait 2 minutes before turning on equipment. So wait a couple minutes before you basically utilize the system. So again, we're gonna use this old connector. This sat for a while. I'll be honest, it sat overnight. We got some of this last night and I had to work. So we're gonna spray in this older one here. And let's see here, right? Short burst. Okay. Oh, the short burst. It goes into this end. So this will give you the opportunity to clean this end as well. And then work the connections. So work the connections just means plug it in and unplug it, plug it in and unplug it, plug it in and unplug it. It's really quite fascinating. Also with these plastics and stuff, I hurt my fingers after a while. Careful doing this, make sure you don't break any of the locks or anything. I just have it pinched open so it's a little easier. Looks pretty good. And it says add a short burst and wait 2 minutes. So I'm gonna let that dry for a little bit, and we'll get back to you, let you know how it looks. So after waiting a couple of minutes and coming back and rechecking the connections, I'd say that looks pretty good. It's a pretty good job cleaning that. So after trying a couple different methods, I think using a cleaner / maintainer that's safe on plastics is probably the way to go. Because also, especially with the directions with this product, on connections like this, it was way easier to do. You know, spray it on, work it out, and spray it on again. And I guess the second spray, when you wait 2 minutes, like you see maybe a little shiny in there, whatever. The second spray is the maintainer. It's to keep it clean, keep the contacts contactable. I don't know, but it's just to, yeah, it's a maintainer, so it'll keep the contacts protected and stuff like that. So just my opinion from working a couple different angles on this, using something like a deoxit cleaner is the way to go for something like this. And then especially if you have connections on the bike that you can't pull off, it's the way to go. I had one more connection on the bike. I worked that through and it came out pretty good too. It was the other end of this, and this came out really good. So right now, that's my opinion on that. So a solid electrical cleaner, quick dry. All of these are quick dry because they know you're going to plug some stuff back in. Cleaner and maintainer will help clean some of those electrical connections if you see some corrosions. Some people also suggest doing maintainers on your connections regularly. I live in a really dry environment. I think I'm kind of sourcing out what may have happened with my ballast in the airbox and all this stuff and why these connections got corroded, which is neither here nor there. But using something like this to maintain your connection, especially if you have a regularly humid or moist environment. You know, we live in a very dry environment, so we don't run into a lot of moisture on a regular basis. But still, it doesn't hurt to spray something, keep it on, especially when you have a bike that's getting older and parts are getting scarcer. Speaking of parts, let me tell you the alternative to cleaning these connections, if you can. So here's plan B for these situations. What I noticed when I did start pulling my electrical stuff apart the other day when I was trying to diagnose what's going on with the headlight, is that this jumper here still has a part number that's legible. Thank God, legible. With HD part numbers, guess what? You can order a new part. Now, Googling parts, you'll probably find different sources of it. Let me tell you what I did. Some stuff I stumbled upon. One, there is this site, and I'll include the link in the description below, that will help you source out part numbers for your Harley Davidson. I'll put it up right here because I don't remember the name of the site offhand, but you can put in your year and model, and it'll basically pull out all the diagrams for the bike. And then you just kind of source through like the chassis, frame, the engine, and which part you're looking for, and it has pictures of it. And once you find the picture of it and associated number, boom, gives you the part number. Absolutely amazing, and totally will save you. Like, I got lucky the part number is on this, but there's some minor screws and bolts and stuff that need replacing that I'm not going to find the part number for. So, and there it is. I found that. Then on the flip side of it, there is another website, I believe it's Newcastle Harley Davidson, that you can order said parts online. I think you can order from the site where you find the part numbers as well. But another option is Newcastle Harley Davidson. So you can go in, type in the part number, and they'll source it for you and send it to you. And what's nice is that they don't work with other dealers or companies or shops or stuff like that. It's totally person to person type deal, which is nice. So, to be honest, I did order a new jumper for my new headlight because I had the part number. Only because, hey, it's getting older. Also, I have some splicing issues on this, and that's a different thing. It's not an issue. I fixed it. I'm a good solderer. But I figured, hey, if this is already corroded and I can get another one, why not? Only cost me $18 to get it. So what's nice is that, I can take the old one and practice cleaning stuff and see what's the best way to clean the connections that I can't replace on the bike or are harder to replace on the bike. But I also have a new jumper on its way. So that works out. So that's a good resource right there. The Newcastle Harley Davidson and the Part Finder site. So there's your tidbits for that. So let's get back to replacing the headlight, because I'm sure that's going to take 5 minutes. Okay, now we're ready to do a simple swap on the bracket here. This bracket, like I said, is an easily swap plug and play situation for these 2 lamps. It's probably the easiest way you could put a new lamp on a V-Rod. New headpiece, whatever. New LED headlamp. Like I mentioned before, oh, by the way, this is a 4mm hex. 4mm hex for the bracket screws right there. But like I mentioned before, there are other options for LEDs, that are pretty awesome, but a lot of them you have to make some adjustments or mounts, or make some compromises and build some stuff to put in there to make them work. The Hogwarts is the simplest because it's kind of built for it. So it goes right into this bracket. And I kind of like that idea. For between $200 to $230, depending if you find stuff on sale, it's an easy deal. It's a good deal. All right, so that bracket's off. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. And here's the new one. Now, they do provide new screws and washers and things like that. So, I definitely advise using them. Oops, I think I'm putting that on upside down because it sounds like something I would do. Let me make sure here. And that's the top. One goes one way. Nope. I'll go this way. I was right. I was right. Okay. Let's see. It should go like so. Right, that looks right. Cool. Is it going to give you new screws, new washers? I advise using them. They're provided to you. You don't know. Like mine is a 2010. So, who knows, right? And it's always better to use a new one. Now, I will tell you that according to the service manual, these should be tightened to 30 to 50 inch-pounds. And what I do not have is a small enough torque wrench for that. So there you go. Okay, let's see here. Oh. Okay, well, this is important. Find out where it lined up at. That's something to take a look at, huh? I guess what that means is that to get it on, we may have to make a slight adjustment to make sure it's pointing in the right direction. Huh. But that's an easy rotation, I'm sure. So, in the meantime, is get this on, get this tight. And then once we mount it on the bike, we'll turn it on, get a good look at it, and get that where it needs to be. How does that sound? Right? It also tells you in your handy manual how to focus your light too. So, all right, so get this tightened down and then get it on the bike. Sound good? Great. Well, guess what? Finally got it today. My freaking wiring harness. It's actually a jumper, headlight jumper. There's the part number if anybody needs to find one, 6765705. If you need one for a V-Rod, muscle probably, but that's it. Let's take a look at this. It's fun getting stuff in the mail. Now with this brand new piece, I'm very excited. Bam! Look at that. Nice, clean, brand new connector. Time to put my new headlight on. How exciting. Let's go do it. See you in a second. All right, let's start by getting the headlight back on. Yes, I'm leaving the protective film on because, I don't know, I think I'm a nerd. I do things like that. And then the bolts right back on. Remember, this is your 6mm hex. Now, the torque value for these bolts is between 9 and 13 inch-pounds. Somewhere between 9 and 13 inch-pounds. I like to go in the middle, so I went with 11. All right, now that's on. Cool, let's plug it in. All right, hopefully you can see that okay. Let's plug the new harness in here. Hopefully you can see all this okay. So always use your old one for reference because this is not labeled, but also you can check in your schematics, your wiring diagram in your service manual. But just in case you're wondering, this gray one is your high beam, black one is your low beam. Also, you know, the black and yellow wire versus the black and white wire. Oops, sorry, I did that out of frame, my bad. Black and yellow wire, black and white wire. Black and white is your high beam. Now, here's the other thing to note too, because one thing these don't tell you anywhere on here is which is hot and which is not. Let me see, I'm gonna look a little deeper for more markings. No. So, in case you did not know this, the black wire on the electrical, on I'm gonna guess most Harleys, but as far as I know, black wire is your common. That's your ground. Those always match. So if you look, what is this? This is a high beam connector. It's cute. This says height beam. It's kind of cute. Anyway, on the Hogworks light on here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but on the casing, they have little markings here. It says positive. There's a positive and a negative marking. So negative is your common. So that's helpful, so you can plug it in the right direction. So I see that. I'm gonna flip this over. Because it should only go in one direction, but looking at this, I don't think it does from the Hogwarts end. So that's when you gotta be careful and look at that. So that's that. Negative, common, got that. Got a little click right there. Clickety click means it's in. Okay, let's do the same thing for the low beam. Same thing, black is common. Oh, negative marking there. I coincidentally each time have them upside down. Sure, it's my low beam. And actually, it's good that they did that too, that they mark which is negative, which is positive, because this is a yellow and a blue wire. That's really confusing, guys. Just saying how it works. If you're gonna make stuff for Harleys, make one black, please. Thank you. And click. There you go. That's plugged in. Now for the test. Let's go put our fuse back in and turn on this headlight. Okay, for you V-riders at home, if you have never taken out the fuse before, the main fuse on your bike before, be forewarned. Especially if it's been out for a certain period of time. When you put this in, your fans may go on. Don't panic. The first time I ever did this, they went on and I lost my mind for a solid 10 minutes. So I was unplugging it, I was swipping around, I was doing all kinds of stuff. Nope, perfectly normal. It took me a long time to figure that out. So that can totally happen here. Oh, it didn't happen here. So look, prove me wrong. Again, things don't always happen. Don't know why they happen one way or another. But there you go. So, fuse is on. I got a little key light here. So I got stuff. Let's see what happens. Wish me luck. Well, that's not good. I got a high beam. I don't have a low beam. Time to check connections. Okay, let's try one more time. Hey! Boom! Headlight. Low beam. High beam. Low beam. High beam. I have brand new LED headlight on Duchess. Woo! It looks good. Yay! So, just for a little truth in advertising, I'm going to tell you what happened, why that failed the first time. Remember how I said when I plugged in this low beam, hey, these cables here, let's see if I can get a little closer. Okay. These cables on the low beam here are blue and yellow. And it would be helpful if the dark color or black was the common. Well, I went with what they said, which is the negative was the yellow and the positive was the blue. And guess what? It didn't work. So I spun it around and it did. So these markings aren't correct. So sometimes if electrical things like that, you know, it's a common, it shouldn't blow anything up. So if it doesn't come on, just try turning the connector around. Because the one thing I noticed on these Hogwarts connectors here, they're not, oh crap, I can't remember the word for it. But there's a way with a lot of connectors and plugs like these where they have a tab and it only goes in one way. And these Hogwarts connectors don't have that. They have tabs on both sides and they're both pretty flat so they can go in either direction. So that's where the fault was. It was it's literally plugged in the wrong way because the markings were not really where they were supposed to be, or not clear, or I don't know what it was. To tell you the truth, the Hogwarts light didn't come with directions either. Not that this should really need specific directions, but little things are good to know. Because there's also extra cables in here that are just like that, and I don't know what those are for. Maybe they're extensions. That's the only thing I could think of. But there you go. So there we are. One successfully installed Hogwarts LED headlight for your Harley-Davidson V-Run Muscle. Plug and play. So pretty easy to install unless you decide that you need to clean your corroded connectors. And it's a little bit more involved, but not by much, right? Right, pretty easy. So I'm gonna get Duchess here all buttoned up and then we're gonna hit the road. Check this baby out at night and make sure it's aimed correctly, just in case I have to come back and tweak it just a little bit with those Allens on the side. And there it is. Easy. Didn't even really need directions. All right, we're gonna hit the road. Stay safe out there. Bye.